So, in the series about bloodlines, I wanted to talk about the connection to the land and how important it is to honor that connection. And depending on which tradition you come from, there may be it may be very important to stay connected to your native land. If you look at Native Americans, for example, some of them will never leave the sacred land where their ancestors been born because some of them are custodian of that land or custodian of certain knowledge that are specifically more potent in that environment. In my tradition from Cameroon, it's kind of the same thing. The Bamileke, more particularly, we are well known to have a strong connection to our native land, to our kingdom. And so it's not unusual for a lot of Cameroonians or a lot of Bamileke who live in the cities, Yaoundé or Douala, in Cameroon, to basically send their kids to go to the village every weekend or at least once a month, if not every weekend or every week or at least once a month. So this is because we have a strong connection to the land, we have a strong connection to our ancestors, and we do a lot of rituals, a lot of honoring of the ancestors by going back to the land, by going back to our villages, and by going back to where they have been buried. So usually when you die, whether you pass away in Europe or United States, they will bring the body back to Cameroon so you can rest with your ancestors and on your native land, meaning in the village. Now, for us, it is a really, really strong connection, meaning that for somebody who, like me, who's actually living outside of the country and that has been going in and out of the country for a long time, I know that my family back home, my cousins, they are basically talking to the land and talking to the ancestor and explaining to them why I'm not there, doing it myself. They also doing ritual for me on my behalf when I'm not here. And this is also because of this strong connection that we have with the land. Now, in one of my other videos, and I'll try to link it down below, I was talking about the knowledge that's being passed on. Some of it is passed in your DNA, some of it are also other knowledge that you are being initiated with when an elder is choosing his successor. And this successor is a successor in the spiritual world, also in the physical world, material world, where he will gain not only the metaphysical knowledge and all that comes with it, but also a number of powers. And this is why I mentioned that it's not necessarily a biological child you can give that to, and it's not necessarily your first child either. It can be any child that the individual sees fit in terms of character, in terms of spiritual capabilities to handle the power that's going to be transmitted. And this is also, even though I've lived in many places, I always go back to my native land. I think even when I was little, my father will take us and spend the 3 months of the summer back home. As a teenager growing up in Switzerland, I had to go back home for the summer and spend the entire summer there. And I am so grateful for that, because it really keep that connection very strong with the land and with the culture at hand and with the traditions, because it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to forget where you come from, to forget your native culture, to forget the importance of family and tradition. So the fact that they took upon themselves to ensure that we will not only go back on vacation, but spend those 3 months, which is a long time for a child, basically diving back into your roots each time you came. And believe me, as a teenager, when you spend a summer having to go to the village and fetching for your water to take a shower, you come back to the Western world with different outlook in terms of what is going to be your teenage crisis. When you have spent 3 months focusing on what you're gonna have to do, the chores you have to do, the rhythm of life, reconnecting with nature, being there without a phone, having to go to sleep when the sun sets, or maybe a couple of hours later. your mind just refocus on what's really, really important. You refocus on family, you refocus on tradition, you reconnect with the land, you reconnect with nature, and you're good to go for another year. And so this connection is very important as you grow up, and I know not everybody has the opportunity to stay connected to the land in such meaningful and strong ways. But it is important, especially when you grow up. As you become an adult, you still have the same need to go back to the land, but it's not as strong, especially if you're not a successor. People who are a successor usually don't leave the country. Sometimes they don't even leave the village. They have to have a permanent presence next to where the powers are most potent in nature. In this particular tradition. So those individuals sometimes will never leave unless maybe there is a birth and they have to go there for a specific reason, for ancestral ritual or something like that. Otherwise, they pretty much tied to that place. So when we talk about bloodlines, depending on the tradition you're coming from, depending on the knowledge you have in your blood, there may be reasons why if you try to manifest magic and you try to manifest, not magic, but you're trying to manifest travel to different places, one of the reasons why you may not be able to do that, it may be simply because you have strong ties to the land where you currently reside. So you can explore that more in your dream work. For us, we also use dream work to talk to the ancestors and actually ask them. So you are able to do some of the rituals and some of the honoring of the ancestors to your dreams. And dreams are very, very powerful in our tradition, in our culture, because it's such another portal to different realms. It's not just traveling to different places and so on. You actually literally go into the spirit world where you can meet your ancestors and other entities as well. And so if you are wondering about how can someone basically uncover the reason why they seem not to be able to travel, if you try to travel, there may be something happening, something with your ticket, something not getting the money every time you get the money to purchase a ticket to go somewhere. And I'm not talking about short trips, I'm talking about you trying to move from that place to another place, and you can find a job to the new place you want to go. There's issues getting your plane ticket and stuff like that. You may want to look into your own bloodline and to see why are you tied to the space where you are. There may be something in the environment that you need to process and assess before you go. There may be also some rituals you need to do if you want to segregate yourself from the land where you've been. And I find it fascinating because many times I've met people, notably in New Jersey, who had never left New Jersey, who would tell you, I think this is going on in New York. I think, or I've seen on TV that this is going on in New York, when they could just take the PATH train and go and see for themselves. So it's not a matter of them being necessarily ignorant, it's a matter of them also having some strong connection to the land where they are living, or the land where they were born for some of them, where they've stayed at the same place for a very long time, and even the idea of leaving that place doesn't even seem to run through their mind at any point in time unless brought up by someone else. And so this is just something to look into. As well, you can make the same connection if you feel a strong connection to a different place. You feel that this place is calling you. That means there may be also some strong connection with you in this place that needs to be explored, that could be explored. And if you're not physically able to go there, this is something you can go in your dreams. Many times I have clients who will tell me, I get to this place, I've never been there before, but I know everything about it. I know we take the street, I can say turn around, I recognize the building as if I've seen them before. And sometimes it's because you do have a strong connection to that place because you go there while you are sleeping without sometimes knowing that you're going there. This is also why it's important to be able to recall your dream so that you can actually see those impressions of deja vu, of things happening again, especially when you have a premonition in your dream. So you are actually able to use this premonition to your own benefit and your own advantage. And when you're starting up with dream work, it can be challenging because you may, doubt yourself. You may think, this is not really happening, and so forth and so on. So it may take you a while before you trust that what you are doing in your dreams is actually serving you in the material physical world. And then after a while, you are able to direct where you want to go, what you want to do, the questions you want to ask, and remembering them without having to write them down or without having to do any petition before you go to sleep. It's just a matter of being used to it and practicing it. So it comes with time. So this is why I often go back to my homeland, and this is also why if you ask most Africans who are in the United States or in Canada or in Europe, a lot of them, when they get a job, which is the first the first of the objectives that they have, they always send money back home to ensure that the community is growing as they do. And sometimes a lot of them will make sacrifices to not have the most of the luxuries that a person with their financial status can have in order to dedicate as much money as they can to help and assist people who are back home. When I go back to the village nowadays, before it used to be just plain rampant, really traditional style housing made with our ground is really like red. I don't know if I will try to link some images of this red land where you can just it's very, very fertile. So if you're eating a mango, for example, you just threw the how do you call it? The thing inside the mango, whatever, you just throw it, then it's you throw the seed, the big seed that's inside of the mango. If you just throw it and then you let it a couple of months, you will see you come back and there'll be a mango tree growing there. This is how fertile the land is in my kingdom. And so more and more people will go to foreign land and get jobs and or study and come back and build these gigantic houses and mansion and developing, basically bringing electricity, bringing water, and all kind of things to the villages. So the village is developing very, very fast. From the last time I went as a child, each time I go back, I can see there's much more and more amenities that are being brought to the villages. And so that I remember going back there and we used to have those kind of gas lamp to have light at night, and now they have actually full electricity. Same, we have now, I think almost everybody has a cell phone back in the village now. You are able to connect that way while before people didn't even have a phone in their house. So this is how a lot of people are investing back, ensuring that as their standard of life is going up, the rest of the family and the rest of the community is also benefiting from it. Another example is a sense of community. When you earn a little bit of money, and let's say your brother who's back home doesn't have that much opportunity, doesn't have that much money, you will take care of the school fees of one of their children, if not sometimes all of the children, to enable them to have a better opportunities and better future. So the mindset that you will go to when you come from this type of community, you don't come to America thinking, it's just to make yourself rich alone. You are more in a communal mindset where you're thinking, I'm going to better myself so that the community becomes better. And immediately you will start thinking about sending money back. Now, I'm not saying that this is what all of the Africans are doing, but generally this is the mindset and this is what they do. It is not uncommon to find people who are out for themselves and who come here and cut the ties back and who just decided to live their own life without ever going back and have their family and have their children and just move on. But for the majority in my community, people don't have that mindset. Even if they get married, first of all, they will ensure, usually when you get married and you have children, your mother has to see the children. You have to bring the children to your native land and show your ancestors that, you know, you're continuing the lineage, basically. And there's rituals are being done, your children are being blessed to keep on being prosperous, and you know, your grandmother will bless the children as well, and that's such very, very important. A lot of people may have energical blockage inside of that can be, you know, erased or attenuated just if they go get their the blessing from their grandmother, from their matriarch in their family, paternal or maternal. And so that's very important. The same way, sometimes that's also why it's sometimes difficult for Africans to marry outside of the community, because you may have Europeans or you may have other individuals that don't have the same mindset, that won't understand why it would be their responsibility to help with the school fees of a brother and sister, sometimes help with the school fees of a cousin, and sometimes just help with the school fees of your best friend in childhood, which you consider to be your brother. And this is also why you see sometimes friction in terms of what is a family when you're thinking about it. I know this video is about bloodline, but sometimes in different communities, the term family will get expanded simply because we would think that people who are close to us, people we care about, become like family. And therefore, we have the benefit, but we also have the responsibilities that come along with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and of course, let me send me all of your questions, and I'll be happy to answer.